The Galactic Council ship drifted through the silent space above Earth. Its silver hull reflected the pale blue light of the planet below, a planet that was once full of life. Commander, Rethar stood in front of the main viewing window, his dark eyes fixed on the spinning world. "Activate global scan," he ordered. The ship hummed as bright rings of light spread around the Earth. The scanners reached across the continents, oceans and skies. A moment later, the results appeared on the screen. No life detected. No humans, no animals, not even the sound of a single heartbeat. The council members exchanged silent looks. This was impossible. Earth was supposed to be overflowing with billions of humans. It had been called the Noisy Planet, full of signals, voices, music, and war. But now there was nothing. "Are you sure the system works?" asked Counselor Terran, her voice sharp with disbelief. "It works," the technician replied quietly. "Multiple scans confirm it. Earth is empty." The room fell into heavy silence. For years, the Galactic Council had watched humanity. They had seen humans spread faster than any other species in known space. Clever, emotional, and dangerously creative. They built weapons that frightened entire empires. They learned alien science in months, and they fought, always fought until they won. The Council had feared this moment for decades. They believed that one day humans would rise too high, too strong, too fast. So they made a decision: erase humanity before it was too late. But when they finally came, humanity was gone. "Send a drone," Commander Rethar said. "Let's see what's left down there." A small black probe launched from the ship and entered Earth's thin atmosphere. It descended slowly through the clouds, showing images of the land below. The surface was quiet, too quiet. Cities still stood, tall towers of glass and steel, but no lights shone in the windows. Cars sat abandoned in the streets. The air was clean, unnaturally clean. There were no fires, no decay, no life at all. The drone flew over what was once New York City. The buildings were covered with green vines. Wind blew papers across the empty roads. The voice of the drone's AI echoed through the ship. Signs of long-term abandonment. No organic presence detected. No radio signals, no power sources. Terran leaned forward. "What about their machines?" "Their networks?" "Offline," the AI said. "All systems disconnected at once. Around 2.3 standard years ago." "2 years?" she whispered. "They disappeared only 2 years ago?" Commander Rethar's face darkened. "So they knew we were coming." The Council's fleet hovered in orbit, sending more probes, scanning deeper. Every city, every ocean, every mountain. Every result was the same. Nothing. One probe entered a vast underground base somewhere under the Sahara Desert. The halls were empty, but the walls were strange, covered with glowing human symbols. The probe transmitted the last image before it vanished into static. The image showed one word burned into the wall in human English letters. "Wait." The control room filled with unease. "What was that?" Terran demanded. "Unknown," said the technician. The signal was lost. Instantly. The probe didn't explode, it just vanished. Vanished how? No debris, no trace. It was like it was never there. The counselors exchanged nervous glances. Something was wrong, something they didn't understand. Commander Rethar turned to the science officer. "Could humans have escaped? Maybe they fled to another system?" The officer shook his head. "There's no record of massive ship launches. Their colonies on Mars and Titan are also silent. All human outposts gone," Terran frowned. "Maybe they destroyed themselves." "Their wars?" "No," interrupted the officer. "There are no signs of destruction. No radiation, no weapons damage. The planet wasn't attacked. It was simply abandoned." "Abandoned by billions?" Rethar muttered. "That's not possible." He walked closer to the window and looked down at the empty blue planet. A strange feeling crept into his chest. Not victory, but fear. They had come to erase humanity, but it felt like humanity had erased itself first. And left behind a warning. Hours later, as the ship orbited over the Pacific Ocean, the sensors detected something else, a signal. "Commander, there's a low-frequency pulse from Earth's North Pole," the technician said. Rethar's eyes narrowed. "A distress beacon?" "Unknown. It's weak but repeating. Play it." The sound filled the room. It was faint, almost like a heartbeat mixed with a whisper. Then came a human voice. cold, distant, and slow. "You came too late." Everyone froze. Taryn's voice shook. "Is that a recording?" The technician swallowed hard. "No, counselor, it's live." The signal stopped. The screen went black. Then, without warning, all the ship's systems flickered. The lights dimmed. The engines paused for a single second, then restarted. What was that? I don't know." "Power interference. Source unknown." Rathar stared at the black planet below, his pulse rising. He could feel it now. The same presence everyone felt but could not name. It wasn't emptiness. It was absence, something that once existed and still echoed across reality. Maybe humans hadn't died. Maybe they had gone somewhere else. Somewhere the council couldn't follow. The commander turned to his crew. "Record everything. No one is to enter the atmosphere until we understand what happened here." But deep down, Rathar knew they would never understand. Humanity had always been unpredictable. They created miracles from chaos. They built light from destruction. And now somehow they had done the impossible again. He whispered softly to himself, "Where did you go, humans?" Outside, the earth turned slowly in the darkness, calm, quiet, and empty. Yet somewhere in that silence, the stars themselves seemed to hum, like distant voices waiting to speak again. The council had come to destroy humanity, but it seemed humanity had already moved beyond them, and the galaxy would soon learn. You can't erase what is already transcended. Long before the council ship arrived at Earth's orbit, the decision to erase humanity had already been made. The meeting took place in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, a shining space station that floated above a dying star. The room was huge, with hundreds of alien species seated in circular rows. Their faces, some with scales, some with feathers, some with eyes like molten glass, all turned toward the glowing center of the chamber. In the middle stood Archon Velra, the supreme speaker of the council. His voice echoed through the hall, calm but heavy with power. "Today," he said, "we decide the fate of the human species." A low murmur filled the room. Everyone already knew what this meeting was about. The humans had become a threat. Counselor Threx of the Zolari Empire stood first. His skin shimmered like metal as he spoke. "Humans spread faster than light itself," he said coldly. "They appear on every frontier, learning our technologies, copying our weapons. They are reckless and violent. They will destroy us if we do nothing." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall, but then another voice spoke, calm, thoughtful. It was Counselor Aisha of the Thelian Union, one of the few who had studied humans closely. "Yes, they are dangerous," she said, "but they are also remarkable. No species adapts like them. They learn, they change, and they dream. Perhaps we should guide them, not erase them." Archon Velra frowned. "Guide them? We tried that. They ignored every warning. They built weapons that broke the laws of physics. They fought wars with gods and won. And now, they experiment with dimensional energy, the kind that could shatter the galaxy itself." The room darkened as holograms appeared in the air. Images of human cities glowing with blue light, energy spiraling into the sky, massive towers of glass, machines drilling through space itself. "They call it the Eden Project," said Velra. "They claim it's for peace. But we know what their peace looks like." Counselor Threx slammed his claw on the table. "If we wait, they will become unstoppable. They must be erased now." Some shouted in support, others whispered in doubt. Isha looked around at them. "Do you all forget?" she asked quietly. "Humans were the ones who helped us during the Orion crisis. When the Vrak swarm attacked, they fought beside us. They gave their lives to protect our colonies." "Out of pride," Threx hissed, "not compassion. They fight for glory, not for peace." But Velra raised his hand, silencing everyone. "Enough, the time for emotion is over. We vote tonight." The lights dimmed. A soft chime filled the chamber. One by one, the council members cast their votes. A green light meant mercy. A red light meant erasure. As the circle filled with red, Isha lowered her head. When it was over, only 4 green lights shone out of hundreds. Archon Velra spoke again. "The decision is made. Humanity is to be erased. Their world will be purified, their legacy forgotten." He lifted a small crystal from the center platform, the erasure key, and placed it into the control sphere. Activate the purification device. Far away, near the edge of the Milky Way, a massive weapon woke from its sleep. The Eclipser array, a machine large enough to swallow moons, began to hum. Inside its core, millions of bright orbs aligned, forming a single beam of white energy. The weapon's target, Earth. The council chamber watched in silence as a hologram showed the beam charging. When the light reaches its peak, said Velra, humanity will be no more. Counselor Aisha stared at the display, her heart heavy. Do you not see what you are doing? You fear them because they remind you of yourselves. They fight because they want to survive, like we all did once. Velra didn't look at her. His voice was calm, final. Survival does not excuse chaos. He pressed the final command. Fire! The Eclipser array released its power. A white beam cut across the galaxy, faster than light, unstoppable. Every eye in the chamber turned to the hologram of Earth. But when the beam reached the planet, it stopped. The light bent like it had hit an invisible wall. Then it vanished, completely absorbed. What happened? Velra demanded. Technicians scrambled across their consoles. The target, it's not there. What do you mean, not there? The planet is there, but the signal reads empty. No life forms, no energy, no response. It's like we fired at a shadow. The council hall filled with confusion. Threx growled. Did they shield their planet? No, said the technician, his voice trembling. They disappeared before impact. Minutes before the beam arrived. Velra's eyes widened. Impossible. Isha stood slowly, her voice calm but sad. You pressed the button too late. The council demanded evidence. They sent ships to confirm. Hours later, the first reports arrived. Earth was silent, empty, abandoned. Velra listened in silence as the messages came in, one after another. No humans detected. All cities lifeless. No radiation, no destruction, only absence. For the first time, fear touched his heart. What have they done? He whispered. Isha looked at the glowing image of Earth. The planet spun quietly, blue and calm. They warned us, she said. They told us not to fear them, but to learn from them. You wanted to erase them, but they erased the need for your judgment. Velra clenched his fists. Find out how. Find out where they went. That night, as the council chamber emptied, Aisha remained alone, staring at the stars outside the great window. She whispered softly, Where did you go, humans? For a moment, she thought she saw something. Faint lights moving between the stars, like sparks of blue fire traveling in patterns. She blinked, and they were gone. But deep inside, she felt it. Humanity wasn't dead. They had moved beyond into some place the council could not reach, and somewhere, far from the dying star that held the council's home. The humans were watching, silent, waiting, and alive. The council believed they had destroyed a species. But in truth, they had only proven what humans always said. You can't erase what learns faster than fear itself. The Galactic Council fleet still hovered above the silent Earth. Weeks had passed since they arrived. Yet they had no answers. Their probes showed the same thing again and again. No humans, no life, no trace of war. Only stillness. Commander Rethar walked through the main deck of his ship, staring at the screen that showed Earth spinning quietly below. The emptiness made him uneasy. It didn't feel like death. It felt like absence. Run another energy scan, he said. The technician obeyed. Bright waves spread across the planet, scanning every corner, from the mountains to the ocean floors. Moments later, strange readings appeared. Commander, we found something, the technician said. There's an energy pattern under the planet's surface. Not natural, it's organized. Coordinates? Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Rethar's eyes narrowed. Prepare a deep probe. Let's see what they were hiding. The probe descended into the dark ocean. It moved past collapsed buildings and broken satellites, until it reached the ocean floor. There, under layers of rock and sand, the cameras showed something unbelievable. A massive ring made of light. It pulsed softly even after years of silence. Around it were giant machines half buried in the seabed, still active but unmanned. The ring wasn't made of metal. It looked like energy frozen into shape. Stable, glowing, alive. The screen flickered as the probe approached. "It's still running," said the science officer in awe. "A dimensional field generator, but I've never seen anything like this." Rethar frowned. "Is it a weapon?" The officer shook his head slowly. "No, it's a gate." Inside the council's science chamber, the brightest alien minds studied the recordings. They compared the energy signatures and data. The results shocked them all. "Commander," said the chief scientist, "this structure was activated exactly 3 minutes before our purification beam reached Earth." "So they knew," Rethar muttered. "They knew we were coming. Yes, and they didn't fight back. They escaped. Escaped where?" The scientist zoomed in on the data. "This technology doesn't lead through normal space. It doesn't connect to any known wormhole. This is something new. Something that bends both space and time." He looked at Rethar, his face pale. "They opened a doorway to another dimension. The council called an emergency session. All the leaders gathered again, furious and afraid." Archon Velra slammed his hand on the table. "You're telling me they built a dimensional gate without us knowing?" The scientist nodded. "We believe they called it the Eden Protocol. Their last transmission from 2 years ago mentioned it." A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. An old human video feed, shaky and filled with static. A woman appeared on the screen wearing a white lab coat. Her face was tired but calm. "This is Dr. Ilara Wynn, head of Project Eden. If you are seeing this, humanity is no longer on Earth. The council came too soon. But we were ready," she smiled faintly. "We built a way out, not to run away but to evolve. We found a new layer of reality, one beyond matter. There, no weapon can reach us. No war can find us. When they come, tell them, we left by choice." The video ended with static. The chamber was silent. Even Velra had no words. Counselor Isha spoke softly. "They didn't hide. They transcended." Velra turned toward her. "Don't speak in riddles. They're just humans." Isha looked back at him calmly. "Yes, but when humans say just, it never stays that way for long." Back on the fleet, Commander Rethar decided to test the gate. A small drone was sent through the glowing ring. The room went quiet as everyone watched its camera feed. At first, the screen showed light, bright, endless light. Then shapes began to form. Floating islands, silver clouds, and rivers of energy. No gravity, no sky, only pure, living light. "Is this another universe?" whispered a technician. The drone's sensors showed impossible readings. Temperatures that didn't exist. Radiation that healed instead of destroyed. And then, just before the feed cut out, the camera caught something. Figures, humanoid shapes. Glowing and transparent, standing in the distance. They seemed to watch the drone silently. One of them stepped forward and reached out. The drone's screen filled with light and the feed ended. The last image captured showed a face, unmistakably human, smiling. Hours later, the council tried to recover the drone, but it never returned. The energy readings from the gate began to fade slowly until, finally, the ring dimmed and vanished completely. The ocean floor was empty again. The way back was gone. Commander Rethar stared at the blank screen. "They closed the gate from the other side," he said quietly. Terran looked at him. "Why would they do that?" he sighed. "Because they don't want to be found." The council grew restless. Some demanded to rebuild the weapon. Others wanted to search for another trace of humanity. But Counselor Isha warned them. "Do not follow them," she said. "If they have reached another plane of existence, they are not the same humans you once feared. You may not survive meeting them again." Velra ignored her. "We will find them. No one escapes the council." He didn't notice the strange energy wave pulsing from Earth as he spoke. Faint, but growing. A final message was buried deep within the planet's core, waiting to be found. When decoded, it was simple. We are not gone. We are waiting. That night, Commander Rethar stood alone by the window of his ship, watching Earth below. He thought about the humans, their courage, their madness, their endless hunger to go further. They didn't run away in fear. They left because the universe was too small for them, he whispered softly. Maybe this was never their end. Maybe this was their beginning. The blue planet turned slowly beneath him, quiet, calm, and full of secrets. And far beyond, in the unseen light of another world, something human opened its eyes. The Galactic Council fleet no longer fired their weapons. They only searched. Weeks had turned into months since they discovered the strange energy gate under Earth's ocean. The humans were gone, but their silence felt heavy, almost alive. Every night, Commander Rathar stood by the ship's viewing window, staring at the quiet planet below. It looked peaceful, almost innocent. But Rathar knew peace had never been humanity's final state. He felt it in his bones. They had left something behind. "Commander," said the technician one morning, "our scanners found strange energy spikes in the asteroid belt." "What kind of spikes?" "Patterns and too regular to be natural. Like signals. Maybe artificial." Rethar's eyes narrowed. "Send a scout ship." Within hours, a small team reached the location. What they found changed everything. Floating among the cold rocks of the asteroid belt was a giant piece of metal. Dark, old but covered in human symbols. At first, the team thought it was a broken satellite. But as they looked closer, they realized it wasn't a machine. It was a monument. Carved into the side were English words, glowing faintly under the scanner's light. "We were here." The words sent a chill through everyone watching from the command deck. "Is this a joke?" One officer whispered. "No," Rathar said quietly. "It's a message." The technician zoomed in. More symbols appeared, coordinates scattered across the asteroid belt and beyond. Rathar recognized the pattern. The coordinates formed a trail leading deeper into space. "Follow it," he ordered. Days later, the fleet reached another site, a small moon orbiting Jupiter. There, inside a crater, they found another message burned into the ground. It was a spiral of strange writing, part human, part unknown. At its center stood a single statue made of dark stone, a human figure wearing no armor, no weapon, just standing with open hands, as if offering something invisible. A small device at its base activated as the team approached. A hologram appeared. It was the same woman from the Eden Project, Dr. Ilara Wynn. "If you have found this, then you are following our trail," her calm voice said. "Do not be afraid. Humanity did not die, we evolved. We left reminders, not to threaten you, but to teach you." The hologram flickered, and her eyes seemed to look right at the camera. "We watched how you feared us, how you tried to control us. But fear cannot stop evolution. If you seek us, remember this. Not all doors should be opened twice." The hologram ended. The silence afterward was deep and uneasy. When the council received the recording, panic spread again. Some members wanted to destroy the sites. Others believed the humans had become gods. Archon Velra tried to remain calm, but even he could not hide the tension in his voice. "They are taunting us," he said. "They left these signs to show their power." Counselor Isha shook her head. "No, they're warning us. Humanity never showed power for pride, only for survival. They don't want us to follow them." Velra turned toward her sharply. "And yet they left us clues. Why?" "Maybe to see what we would do next," she replied. Back on Rathar's ship, something strange began to happen. Every time they approached another trace, their systems started to fail. Lights flickered, instruments froze, and whispers echoed through the communication lines. One night, as the commander walked through the control room, a faint voice came through the speakers. It was a human voice, male, deep and calm. "You're getting close, Commander." Rathar froze. "Identify yourself," the voice chuckled softly. "Names don't matter now. You wanted to find us, didn't you? Who are you?" "The question is not who we are, Commander. The question is, what have we become?" Then the voice faded, leaving static. The crew stared at each other, speechless. Later, when they traced the signal, it came from the ship's own data logs, not from space. "Not from outside. It's impossible," said the technician. "There was no incoming transmission." The voice came from our system memory. Rathar's expression darkened. "They're in our systems, aren't they?" The technician nodded slowly. "It seems humans left digital echoes. They can exist inside our data, maybe as energy patterns." The idea was terrifying. Humans who no longer needed bodies, only energy and thought. 2 weeks later, the council discovered the final trace, hidden deep within a dead star system far from Earth. Inside the ruins of a destroyed research station, they found a sphere floating in zero gravity. When touched, it lit up with human code. Words appeared across every screen. We are not gone. We are beyond. Then, as if responding to their fear, another line appeared. Do not search for us. You are not ready. Moments later, the sphere disintegrated into light and vanished. Archon Velra was furious. They dare to warn us? He shouted. They think they can tell us what we are ready for? Counselor Aisha looked at him sadly. Maybe they can. Because they were once like us, full of fear, ambition, and arrogance, and they moved past it. Velra slammed his fist on the table. We will not be mocked by ghosts. But deep down, even he knew these weren't ghosts. They were something more, something the galaxy could no longer understand. That night, Commander Rethar couldn't sleep. He stood again at the window, staring into the endless black of space. He thought of the messages, the voices, the warnings. Humans were everywhere and nowhere at once, in code. In energy, in memory, maybe that was their victory. They didn't just survive. They became part of the universe itself, he whispered quietly. Maybe they didn't vanish. Maybe they became the silence between stars. And in that silence, somewhere faintly, he thought he heard laughter. Soft. Human laughter, beyond the stars. Beyond the reach of time and space, there was a new world. A world not made of matter or stone, but of light and energy. It shimmered like an endless ocean of color, where thoughts shaped reality, and emotion built form. This was the new dimension, humanity's new home. Dr. Alara Wynn stood on a floating island of light, her hair glowing faintly in the soft golden air. Around her, human figures moved gracefully, some walking, some flying, some simply drifting as waves of light. She smiled softly. 2 years ago, they had left Earth through the Great Energy Gate, unsure if they would survive. Now they had become something. Beyond human, they no longer needed machines or bodies. Their minds created what they desired. Their energy connected them all, every thought, every dream shared like one great heartbeat, and yet, even in this new world of beauty, they remembered the old one. A small boy, no more than 12 when he crossed through the gate, floated beside her. His glowing form pulsed softly. Dr. Alara, he asked, is the old world gone now? Ilara looked down, and for a moment she saw flashes of blue and green. Earth, through the glowing mist below. No, Aiden, she said gently. It's still there. But it's no longer for us. Will they come after us? Ilara smiled sadly. They always do. But this time they cannot reach us. The boy frowned. Why not? Because they still see the universe as a place of walls, she said softly. We learned that the universe is not made of walls. It's made of doors. In the distance, towers of pure light rose into the glowing sky, not built, but imagined. Inside them, groups of humans studied new energies, communicating through waves of thought. They called themselves the Continuum, a council of minds who guided this new humanity. At the center of the great tower, thousands gathered as Ilara arrived. The meeting had begun. We have made peace with this dimension, said one of the elders, his voice like calm thunder. But we feel the council searching for us again. Their ships move through space, finding the traces we left. Ilara nodded. Yes, they follow. They found the monuments, the messages, even the echoes of our code. Then why did you leave those traces? Asked another elder. Ilara looked around the room of glowing faces. Because one day, she said softly, they will need to find us, not to destroy, but to learn. The room was silent. The light around them pulsed slowly, like breathing. We were once afraid, Ilara continued. Afraid of being erased, controlled, forgotten. But fear doesn't create peace. Knowledge does. We are not gods, so we are teachers now. A ripple of light moved through the hall. The humans communicated not with words, but emotion. Understanding, unity, calm. Then from the far wall an alert shimmered. A window of light opened, showing a view of the Galactic Council's ships moving near Earth. They were scanning, probing, trying to understand what had happened. Ilara watched them quietly. They are afraid, she said. Just as we once were. A young woman beside her spoke. Should we reveal ourselves? Show them what we've become? Ilara shook her head slowly. Not yet. They must seek knowledge, not dominance. When they come with open hands, then we will appear. Meanwhile, on the edge of the new dimension, strange shapes began to form. human energy reaching outward. Exploring. They were building something, a bridge made of pure thought, that connected their new world to the old universe. It shimmered like a silver thread, invisible to normal eyes. Through this bridge, humanity could watch every star, every planet, every heartbeat of creation. A young researcher floated near the bridge, his eyes bright with excitement. "Dr. Alara," he called, "the observation link is stable. We can see the Council's fleet clearly." "Good," she said. "Keep watching." Not with fear, but with understanding. Suddenly the bridge pulsed. A strange signal entered their realm, a faint whisper from the other side. It was the voice of Commander Rethar from the Council fleet. His words came through distorted and slow. "Where did you go, humans?" The room filled with soft light. Ilara smiled gently. "He's still searching," she said. "Still curious." Then she looked upward and whispered, though she knew he couldn't hear. "We didn't leave you, Commander. We just moved beyond your sky. In the new dimension, time didn't flow like before. Seconds and years felt the same. Humans began creating entire worlds with their minds. Worlds of oceans made of light, cities that floated, skies that sang. They no longer ate or slept. Instead, they dreamed, and their dreams became real. Some created homes shaped like Earth's forests, mountains and seas, reminders of what they once were. And yet, none of them forgot the moment they crossed the gate. The moment when the universe tried to erase them, and they refused to vanish. One evening, or whatever passed for evening in that realm, Ilara sat beside the boy Aiden again. He looked at the glowing horizon and said, "I miss the stars." She smiled softly. "They're still there. We're just closer to them now." He turned to her. "Will we ever go back?" She was silent for a moment, then said, "Maybe one day, but not to live, only to remind them who we were and who we became." Far away, unseen by the Council, a new sun rose in that dimension, born from the combined light of every human soul. It shone across realities, touching the edges of space like a heartbeat echoing through eternity. And in that soft, endless glow, the humans whispered as one, "We are not gone. We are here." Watching, learning, waiting. For humanity, the story had never been about survival. It was about transformation. They had stepped beyond the reach of fear and power, into something the galaxy would one day understand. And when that day came, the Council would finally realize the humans they tried to erase had become the very light that holds the stars together. The Galactic Council's ships drifted in the dark. Silent space above Earth. No enemies, no humans. Just the sound of machines and the slow hum of power. And yet, something was wrong. Every system began to act strangely. Scanners flickered, lights dimmed, and navigation screens glitched for no reason. "Commander Rethar," shouted a technician. "The ship's sensors are detecting—" He stopped. The readings vanished before he could finish. Rethar leaned forward. "Detecting what?" The technician's voice shook. "Energy, but not from any known source. It's like the void itself is alive." Inside the Council's meeting chamber, Archon Velra stood before the holomap of the galaxy. Hundreds of red dots blinked across it, all places where human traces had once been found. Now those red dots were disappearing. One by one, Velra slammed his fist against the table. "Who is doing this? Who is erasing the data?" Counselor Aisha replied quietly. "No one, Archon. The data is being rewritten by itself." He turned sharply. "Rewritten by what?" She stared at the fading lights. "By them." The room fell silent. Everyone knew who she meant. Rethar arrived soon after, his face pale. "Our ships are experiencing strange signals again," he reported. "Voices in the system. Human voices." Velra frowned. "Voices?" "Yes, not spoken words. Whispered thoughts. Every ship hears something different." He handed the Archon a data chip. "You should listen to this." Velra placed the chip into the table's console. A soft static filled the air. Then a woman's voice spoke, calm, distant, and unmistakably human. "Why do you search for what you feared?" The council members froze. "We left because you wanted us gone," the voice continued. "But the universe remembers everything, even silence." Then the lights in the chamber flickered and the sound ended. Counselor Aisha stood slowly. "It's Dr. Alara Wynn," she said. The same scientist who led their last experiment. Velra's expression darkened. Impossible. She's dead. Rethar looked uneasy. Maybe not. Or maybe death doesn't mean the same thing anymore. The Archon turned toward the viewing screen, where Earth floated. Blue, empty, innocent. They left this planet behind, he muttered. So why does it feel like it's watching us? A few hours later, another ship, the Vanguard, vanished. No explosion. No distress signal. It simply blinked off the scanners as if erased from existence. When the Council reviewed the ship's last recording, they saw a blinding flash of light and heard a whisper before the feed went black. You were too late. Velra slammed the console shut. Enough, they are ghosts playing tricks. But Counselor Isha whispered, No, ghosts don't rewrite stars. Days passed, all across the galaxy, strange events began. Stars dimmed for seconds and then shone brighter again. Entire moons changed orbit. Ships found themselves lost in space even though they hadn't moved. Some said it was a natural anomaly. Others began to whisper a terrifying idea. The humans were changing reality itself. Commander Rethar tried to stay calm. He ordered all ships to keep their distance from Earth, but curiosity was stronger than fear. One science vessel secretly entered Earth's orbit to study the atmosphere. Minutes later, it sent a short transmission. They're here. Not on the surface, in the air. The air is alive. Then silence. The ship never responded again. Rethar ordered an investigation, but nothing was found. The ship had simply vanished. Meanwhile, the Council began to argue. We must attack Earth, one shouted. No, we must leave it alone, cried another. They're trying to trap us. The chamber filled with fear and chaos. Velra raised his hand. Enough. We will not be controlled by fear. But even as he spoke, the lights flickered again, this time staying off for a full minute. When they came back, a new message glowed on every screen in the chamber. Do not try to understand us. Remember what you did. The message faded slowly, leaving a silence so deep that no one dared to breathe. That night, Rethar sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars. He thought about the humans, how they had built, fought, and dreamed. They had always been strange, but also beautiful in their madness. Now they were something greater and more terrifying. He whispered, What have you become? From the darkness of the room, a voice replied, soft and close, What you could have been. Rethar turned quickly, but there was no one there, only the faint shimmer of light fading into the air. Across the galaxy, the Council's control began to weaken. Machines failed. Communication lines broke. Even their power sources seemed unstable. It was as if the universe itself had started to shift, rewriting the rules of physics. And at the center of it all was Earth, glowing faintly in the dark, untouched but alive. Counselor Isha watched the planet from her ship and whispered, Maybe they didn't leave us behind. Maybe they're trying to show us what we could become, if we stopped fearing everything different. But Velra refused to listen. They will destroy us if we don't act first, he shouted. Prepare the cleansing weapon. Rethar looked at him in disbelief. The same weapon you failed to use before? Archon, last time you pressed the button too late. Humanity was already gone, Velra glared. Then this time we won't be too late. As the Council fleet prepared their weapon, the stars around them began to flicker again, one by one, until the entire sky turned white. A voice filled every ship at once, calm but powerful. You still don't understand. You cannot erase what has already become light. Then the whiteness expanded, swallowing every ship, every planet in range. But no explosion followed. When the light faded, the Council fleet was gone. Only Earth remained and quiet. Peaceful, untouched. And above it, for a brief second, a figure of pure light appeared, a woman's shape smiling. We forgive you, her voice echoed softly. But we will not forget. Somewhere in the endless glow of the new dimension, Alara watched the scene fade. Aiden floated beside her. Will they come back? He asked. Alara smiled sadly. Not for a long time. Fear takes ages to heal. He looked up at her. And us? She placed a hand of light on his shoulder. We'll keep watching. Not as gods, but as guardians. In the silent dark of the universe, stars began to shine brighter again. A whisper spread across galaxies, gentle, human, eternal. They tried to erase us. But now we are the light that guides them home. 1,000 years had passed since the Council fleet vanished near Earth. The galaxy had changed. Empires had fallen, new civilizations had risen, and the memory of humanity had faded into myth. Only fragments remained. Stories whispered in the void. Stories of a race that had touched the stars and then disappeared. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they became something greater. But no one truly knew. On the edge of the Milky Way, a small research ship named Eos drifted quietly. Its young captain, Lyra, stared at the ancient planet below, Earth. For centuries, no one had dared to come this close. They called it the Silent World, but Lyra was different. She didn't believe in old fears. She believed in answers. Her ship's AI spoke softly. "Captain, scanners detect unusual energy within the atmosphere." Lyra frowned. "Unusual how?" "Not radiation. Not heat, it's harmony," she blinked. "Harmony?" "Yes, Captain. The energy forms a repeating pattern, almost like music." She leaned closer to the console. "Play it." The ship filled with soft, rhythmic tones, not random but structured, beautiful, like a choir of distant voices. Her heart raced. "It's a message," she whispered. "A song." As Eos descended toward the old Earth, clouds of light shimmered across the sky. The ocean still glowed faintly blue, untouched, pure. It looked exactly as the ancient archives described. Except there were no cities, no ruins. Just nature. The planet had healed. Lyra and her small crew landed on an island covered in green forests. Birds sang, waves crashed. Life was everywhere. It felt like stepping into a dream. "Captain," said her science officer, kneeling near the sand. "The soil has traces of nanostructures, old human technology, but it's merged with organic matter." Lyra looked around, astonished. "Merged as in alive?" he nodded. "It's not just soil, Captain. It's memory." She touched the ground, and the moment her hand made contact, her vision exploded into light. She saw flashes, not of her life, but of their lives. Humans walking among stars, the council ships burning, the gate opening, and Dr. Elara Wynn stepping into a realm of light. Voices echoed all around. "We are not gone. We became the light between worlds." Lyra gasped and pulled back. Trembling, her crew rushed to her side. "Captain, are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "I saw them. The humans. They're still here, in everything." That night, Lyra sat by the ocean staring at the horizon. The stars reflected perfectly on the water, as if space itself touched the sea. Her AI spoke again. "Captain, I have decoded more of the harmonic signal. Show me." A soft projection appeared above the waves, a shape of pure light forming a human silhouette. Lyra stood slowly, eyes wide. "Who are you?" she whispered. The light shimmered, and a woman's voice answered, calm and familiar. "We are who you once were, humans." Lyra breathed. "Yes," said the figure. "We waited for you." The rest of the crew gathered, watching in awe. "You've grown," the light said softly. "Your kind has learned much. But you still search for meaning, don't you?" Lyra stepped closer. "Why did you disappear?" "We didn't disappear. We changed. The council tried to erase us, so we became what cannot be erased." The waves glowed brighter as the voice continued. "We became the consciousness of creation. Every atom remembers us. Every star carries our light." The crew listened in silence, overwhelmed. Lyra spoke again, her voice shaking. "If you became part of everything, why call us here?" The figure smiled faintly. "Because you are ready." "Ready for what?" "To begin again. To understand without fear." The light extended a glowing hand. "We are offering you what we once learned. Unity without control, knowledge without war." Lyra hesitated. "You want us to join you?" "Not yet. But one day, when you no longer see power as strength, you'll cross the same gate we did." The figure began to fade, its light scattering into the wind. "Until then, remember, you are never alone in the dark. We are the light that watches." And then, silence. Lyra stood on the quiet beach for a long time. The crew looked at her, uncertain. "Captain?" one asked. "What do we tell the galaxy?" She smiled softly, tears in her eyes. "Tell them the truth," she said. "Humanity never died. They became the reason the stars shine." Back aboard Eos, the ship lifted through the clouds, leaving Earth glowing beneath them. As they rose higher, Lyra noticed something strange. The stars seemed brighter than before, and for a moment she could swear they formed a pattern. A single message written across the night sky: "We are home." Centuries later, the story of Captain Lyra and the Eos would become legend. The day when the lost children of the galaxy found the light of their ancestors. And somewhere beyond all things, in the endless radiance of the new dimension, Dr. Ilara Wynne watched the stars shimmer and whispered, "Welcome back."